Hey everybody, it's Minister Toya Woodland, and I am here with another panelist, another one workshop, another person that's going to present. Her name is Kiana Williams. Kiana is our youth. Well, she is the chair of the Police Brutality Committee in the Green Party. She is a student with Ball State, and she is also one of the three young ladies that you see holding the George Floyd um, banner on my Woodland for Congress campaign profile pic. I actually met her at a rally, and she just stood out to me, and she spoke, and from there we've just built this relationship, and I just grabbed her and brought her into the Green Party, and I'm really excited about her and what she's going to be doing. She's a nursing major. She's from Minnesota. She lives here in Minnesota, and we're just excited about what she's going to present. So she's going to be talking about police brutality with women, amongst Black women. And I am going to leave, and she is going to present, and she'll probably tell you a little bit more about herself. But I just want to let you guys know that we are excited for her, and we're excited to have her here. So just if you're at home, just give her just a round warm of applause. And this is Miss Kiana Williams. Hi, Kiana.
Hello. All right, so she kind of gave an intro of who I am, but I can talk a little bit more about myself. Like she said, I'm from Minnesota. I am 21, so I'll be 22 soon. So I actually just casted my vote via absent ballot the other week. So this is my first year voting, so my vote matters. So I'm actually encouraging a lot of young people, especially the ones that are here around Ball State, to also cast their vote. So lately I've been posting a lot on social media that there's only a few days left of voting to go. And if we all want our voices to be heard, I am encouraging that our young voices are heard through voting. Like she said, I'm a nursing major. I'm a senior nursing major, so I'm about to graduate spring of 2021. I chose nursing because you don't see a lot of Black people, especially Black women, in like the medical field. So I am trying to build a face for them as well. So I am actually part of the Black Student Association of Nursing Students here at Ball State. So a couple of us girls actually started this group this year. So we're kind of still building on that and starting our own events with that. We're encouraging a lot of young Black students around campus who are in the nursing program to um, basically list out ideas they have for the nursing program here to be more inclusive for diversity, because we don't really have a diverse nursing program yet. And so there have been lack of teaching for diversity and like what it's like to be Black in the nursing program, or treating or caring for Black patients. So we're trying to encourage the nursing program to also basically open up more inclusivity and diversity. So what today I'm going to talk about is police brutality against Black women in honor of the Solidarity of Black Women rally. So I started with the lack of media attention that Black women get when they are victims of police brutality. You see that Black men are all over the media, or just Black people in general all over the media, but you never see really Black women's names being highlighted in the media as much as Black men. And I think that that has to change, because in order to get justice, we need more media attention for the Black women. I read this article. It's called The Violent State, so Black Women's Invisible Struggle Against Police Brutality. And I thought that was a really good article, so I decided to highlight some points on that. What we see is that there's so much media attention focusing on the killing of Black men, especially all over media. And I think that ways for the Black women who are suffering in silence with police brutality, it's important that we get them into the media so we can share their story and so everyone can hear from them. We see an increasing rate of coverage against police brutality, but we never ever see and let women's names in there unless it's like, I guess, a very specific case. And so I kind of went into depth with three Black women who were killed by police. And I started with Breonna Taylor, who recently in March of 2020, she was killed by Louisville, Kentucky's police department by a no knock, no warrant raid, which means they didn't announce themselves before they started entering the home and shooting. And so she was asleep in her bed and she was shot 20 plus times. And as we see, they say that the first thing they say in the media is that she was shot, and the reason was because apparently she was associated with drugs or like a drug dealing boyfriend, which was very false. And as you see, when you hear the name of Black people in the media who have been victims of police brutality or any other crime, their name is usually dragged through the mud. So no one is highlighting that she was an EMT who was striving to continue a career of taking care of people. No one knew that really until her family said it. They just wanted to basically run her name through the mud and say that the reason why she was the victim of this was because of her association with drugs, which comes to turn out it wasn't even true. So we see that her case became widely highlighted in the media. But as you can see, even though she was in the media and a lot of coverage was happening, her case did not get justice. The officers were originally placed on leave, but once they were charged, once they were arrested, only one of the officers was charged, and it was with wanton endangerment, which means that he was charged with the bullets that were missed that didn't actually kill Breonna Taylor. So whatever bullets went into the walls of the apartment building or of her house was what he was charged with, because he had the risk of endangering and killing someone else other than her. The next person I wanted to talk about was Sandra Bland. She was murdered 6 years ago by the Texas police. She was initially pulled over by failing to signal a lane change, which, yes, technically you have to signal a lane change, but usually if you are a police officer, you kind of ignore the little things that people do because sometimes people forget to signal a lane. But as you can see, since she is Black, that was the main reason why she was pulled over, and the excuse was she failed to signal a lane change. This just shows that whenever a Black person is driving, they're always going to be a threat to the cops and always going to be stereotyped. So 3 days after her traffic stop, she was found hanging in her jail cell, and they ruled it a suicide. And still to this day, even though with all of the footage of like what the cops' actions were, she still has not received justice. And this was 6 years, and her case is still dismissed. Even though her name was all over the media, we still seen that she wasn't, her name wasn't praised like if she was white. Her name was just Sandra Bland and nothing else. The third person that I decided to talk about was Ati Jefferson. Her case is very similar to Breonna Taylor's. She was playing video games with her nephew in her house, and the cop didn't identify himself, and he just started shooting inside of her home, and she was shot while sitting on the couch. This was in Fort Worth, Texas. The officer once he failed to identify himself, that actually led to the police department to actually put him on leave. And then once he was on leave, he was arrested. And out of all of the cases that I was reading up on in Breonna Taylor and Sandra Bland, Ati Jefferson's killer was actually arrested, and he is sentenced to 10 years in prison. So even though this just shows only one out of the many, many cases that cops actually get charged. That statistic is very small. It should be every single person that has unlawfully murdered someone should be arrested and jailed. As like what Breonna Taylor's cops or killers, they should be arrested and they should be in jail for multiple years rather than arrested for 2 years because of missed bullets. That doesn't make sense. So what we can do, I found an article that talked about 4 main ideas that can help reform the police. So the first one was increase the use of special prosecutors. as we can see that many of the prosecutors that are on the cases against police brutality have some form of bias in connection with police. So they usually don't have an open mind when they're prosecuting these cases. They take the side of the officer rather than the victim that they're supposed to be um, prosecuting their killer. This shows a lot of biasness, and it makes it harder for cases to be charged and cops to be charged for their police brutality because of the connection that they have with the prosecutors. Um, it the article said that it seems that they usually justify the misconduct rather than prosecute the misconduct. So they find so many different reasons as to why the cop did what he did rather than he did this and he needs to be jailed for this. The next one is enhance the collection of data on fatalities. So police have to report like misconduct to the Uniform Crime Reporting like program, but it doesn't always happen. So officers can voluntarily choose to either send in incomplete data or not send in any data at all when it comes to like misconduct cases, which we see a lot when it comes to the killing of Black people. Cops will leave out lots of details, and then once they're arrested, that's when like everything is dug up. But if things are reported to the UCR, or if they're required to be reported, then I think that would increase the amount of I guess, evidence against the cops and will improve the amount of charges that they get. I don't think it should be voluntary because it makes it too easy for incomplete data and lies to be withheld. The third one was implement implicit bias training. So there's a lot of biasness that cops have that we see. As you can see, the rate of Black people being killed across America just shows that there's some sort of implicit biasness. So I think that training on, I guess, reforming the biasness that they have, or I guess finding ways to decrease the biasness is important, because if you're going to be a cop, you're going to be dealing with a wide range of ethnicities, cultures, and races. And it's important that you don't have any sort of bias towards them. And so then you can protect them in the safe way that they need, rather than if you see like a Black person, they tend to be what they say, quote unquote, scared. I don't think that if they had the proper bias training, they wouldn't be scared, because as you can see that if you, I guess, disregarded the stereotypes against certain races, then you wouldn't have a biasness and you would protect them in the equal way that they deserve. I also think that in predominantly Black communities, I do not think that there should be outside police officers, meaning like I don't like that there's suburban police officers coming into inner cities and taking over and assuming that they know how to protect that community, because they don't know anything that happens in that community, because their community is completely different. So I believe that officers should be either from that area or of the same race, because I think that decreases the implicit bias that they have. The last one that they talked about was increase the federal government's oversight of police conduct. So the Department of Justice can withhold some things. And so what they should do is increase the non-biased behaviors by increasing the practices in police training. So that kind of goes hand in hand with the implicit bias training that I was talking about earlier. So if the Department of Justice increases that, then that decreases the amount of police brutality against specific races, especially Black people. So if they set the expectations for law enforcement to complete these trainings and complete them for longer than the small amount of time that they go to training to become a cop, it will decrease the amount of police brutality. When I was reading the article, it said that the Department of Justice doesn't really enforce this. They say they want it done, but they don't enforce it enough, which obviously leads to the unlawful killing of Black people. So if there was an enforced training and oversight of police conduct, I think that the amount of Black people that have been killed by the police would have decreased. that is the end of what I had to just talk about, but Toya can actually share my document with you guys of like where I got all of my information from. Um,
I can't act. Do you have on your side, does it say share screen? Can you share your screen?
oh, yes, I can.
And then that's the way you can bring your documents on. If you, with the share screen symbol right there.
Yeah, I can show.
And then you'll be able to explain them better than I would. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll take a short intermission, and so that we can bring those documents up, and then we'll come back and say about 10 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, that's what we'll do.
She had it linked up to like 5 people watching that.
Hey, we're back. Were you able to get the documents?
Yes, I'm gonna
I
pull
can't
up
hear
the
you.
first one that I used for my
Okay.
information. Can you see it?
Yeah, I'm adding it to the stream now. There we go.
So yes.
And I'm gonna come out again.
Yeah, I don't know if I can scroll on here. Okay, so this is the first article that I used for the information that I found. And what I want to talk about with this one is that whenever someone wants to talk about like what the invisible struggle is like for Black women, I highly recommend reading this. I kind of only read the part about like how violence against Black women is what it's like against women from police perspective, but it does talk about how women, Black women in general, whenever we are faced with a struggle, we are never, I guess, taken care of the right way. So it talks about sexual violence against Black women and how high it is, but we never get to see the media coverage. We never get to see the facts and the statistics about it because in people's eyes, we don't matter as much as, I guess, like you could say white women or white people in general. Um, Black women tend to be at the very bottom of the totem pole in every situation. And so that's why I found it really important. And I'm happy that I got to actually share information about what it's like to the struggle of Black women. And then the next one that I had was, I can share. Toya, if you want to share this one.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're okay.
And you have questions and comments too.
And where do I see? Okay.
Stephanie Alexander Brown said there's no such thing as Black and brown unity. Well, how do you feel about that?
As in she's saying that we don't come together as one. I don't think that's really true. I think that what we see online is what is portrayed and there's stereotypes against it. I think that actually Black and brown people are very united, but the media likes to, show the bad parts of things, and I think they show that we are against each other more than we're for each other. So I don't necessarily agree with that.
I think that sometimes their struggle is a little different than ours.
Yeah.
So we do tend to people do tend to say that. She also said, let's see what the next thing she said. Mexicans do not call themselves brown either. Legally, they are white and class themselves white, not brown or Black. That doesn't really have anything to do with this here. So we're not gonna.
I was gonna say, I don't know.
Yeah, not gonna really address that. Everyone always using. Maybe they were trying to say everyone.
There are Black.
But she said that she'll be at the rally tomorrow, so that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Hello? Is there any?
Oh, sorry, I was reading the last comment. I
Okay.
didn't. This document that I found talks about the ways that we can reform it. I kind of summarized it in what I was talking about, but if us people want to reform the police, we have to take little steps. And these 4 ideas, I believe, are little steps that we can start with in reforming the police. And like, I'm not bashing police, but I'm definitely saying that when there's a few bad apples, there's really no such thing. The whole system is corrupt and we have to fix the whole system. And once we fix the whole system, then there won't be anything. There's no such thing as bad apples once the whole system is fixed. The system as a whole was built on biasness and stereotypes against, like, especially Black people. So I believe that reforming the system is the start of, I guess, bettering the police. The quotations in there.
What would you like to see in police reform? Like when or if it happens, how does that look like? How does that look to you?
To me, like I said earlier, I believe that the communities that I think that Black communities should not have white officers, and if they do, those white officers have to know how and what it's like in those communities rather than coming from the suburbs, not knowing a single thing and having everything easy over there. They don't know how to interact with people different than them, and so I
Hmm.
think it has to start with that. Also, the training has to be longer than, I don't even know how long it is, like 6 months. With that, I don't even know. I don't think that training should be 6 months. If I have to go to school for 4 years to be a nurse, when I could observe for 6 months and still know how to do what I'm doing now. But if you want to be a nurse, you have to go for 4 years. So I believe that they have to go for 4+ years.
I like that. I like that. Go and yeah, I do. Continue. I wanted to ask that question. How that look for you? For anyone that might have
Yeah. Do you have any more
been
questions
wondering.
for me? I don't. I finished with my documents that I was sharing. So.
Well, how does it? Okay, so when you heard about Taylor,
Mhm.
how did that make you feel? How did you feel? I mean, like,
Yeah.
what was the feeling going on inside of you
The
when?
first feeling I got, I was like devastated because just like it was just, here's another um, Black person killed, and now it's like a Black woman, and we never hear enough about Black women. And I mean, I'm Black, so a Black woman, so I was scared because I was like, now like I could be just like her anytime. Like you never know. Like you have to be on your toes when it comes to police. Like if you're driving by the cops, like you have to drive the speed limit or a little above the speed limit. You can't draw attention to you. And even she was literally sleeping in her bed, so like there was nothing that drew attention to her. They just assumed that she was associated with drug dealers, and people tend to associate Black people with drugs, and so they just assumed they were right, and what they did, they killed her. So I was angry, and I will not stop. um,
Do you
fighting.
think the 1994 crime bill had anything to do with the fact that they associate us with drugs on a regular basis? That we are those super predators that Joe Biden talked about?
um, I think so, because it again just increases the stereotypes against us. So whatever people hear about Black people that's negative, they will forever remember it, and they will forever use that against us, even though if it's not true, they use it against us. Um, if the statistics decrease, they're still using it against us. They will forever use anything negative to harm and hurt us.
And I was saying, when you just said that, I thought about what he said in the debate the other day, that he made a grave mistake, but his mistake still costs um, the African American people, American descendants of slavery, because people will forever look at us as those
Mhm.
super predators that he talked about when he was authoring this bill.
Yeah, exactly.
Even though now he recognizes it as a mistake and says that he, has released 35,000 prisoners from jail that he put there. Um, but people will never forget that. And it'll always be with them. And this is how police identify us as 3/5 of a human,
Hmm.
because it still says that in the Constitution. As Black women, and we're the most marginalized and disrespected women people on the planet. And as these super predators or being tied to these super predators. So we're always going to have that stigma with us. How do we go about changing the narrative as Black women?
That is a hard question to answer because we try so hard to change a narrative and we're still seen as bad people. We I like talk to my dad a lot about how he portrays himself as, people say white, he acts white because he's scared that he's going to be seen as I guess bad. So whenever he goes to work, he says he has to dress the best, he has to smell the best, he has to look the best, he has to talk the best, because if not, they're going to associate him with the stereotypes. And so, even though we are trying so hard to break the narrative and everything, I don't think that it's really going to change anything. People
Yeah,
are
we
still
have to code switch. And so we have to leave our code. And I never understood that until recently. I had a friend of mine, his name is Rashad Turner. He explained that to me. We were in Memphis and we were doing a school tour, and I met a young man, and the young man was he was very, black but very white to me.
Yeah.
And so what was explained to me was that in certain instances we have to code switch, and I realized I had been doing that all of my life. I come from corporate America, so in order to, I had to, just what your dad said, I had to sit up, be on time, be early, talk in a certain. I talk like articulate all of my words, everything that they had to do, I had to do better. So, and that's how, and that's what it's called code switching. And we should not have to be under that type of scrutiny. So this is why I so desperately want to change the narrative around how America, how the nation, how the world sees Black women. Yes, we are strong. Yes, we do endure. Yes, we do go through a lot, but we are also fierce. And I think we got some more comments.
I was looking at Stephanie's. Oh wait, which one was it? Oh, actually, Marissa. She said that, I think she was talking about reforming the police. So it starts with an education, which I agree. People don't know the effects that we go through. Like they don't know what we go through. Like CPS targets Black children. Law enforcement targets Black people. Healthcare is not even. So I guess what I'm trying to say is Black people are seen as, we have the most poverty because we don't have the most opportunities, because we never are given those opportunities. We have to fight for them harder than anybody else. And so healthcare, since I am going to be a healthcare worker, healthcare issues is something that I like to think about a lot, because when I go to the hospital, especially here where it's very rural, not a lot of Black people at all, I go to the hospital and I see all white older nurses, and I'm just like, you guys don't know anything. You don't know anything other than outside of Indiana. So
Yes.
going in, I am the only Black, I guess I'm not even a nurse, but nurse on the floor. So I just shadow and I just watch how they interact with patients. And you can tell that they interact differently with the Black patients that they have versus the white patients, or they have biases against them, or they have this misinformation and miseducation that they have. And it just shows that they don't actually know what it's like to take care of a wide variety of patient population. So it's just crazy how healthcare system, once again, targets Black people in a society as a whole. Like she said, we are always seen as the bottom.
We are always seeing we are the bottom cast. We're always seen as the bottom cast, and often enough times when we, even with, and I gotta say this, even in this election year where ADOS have decided that we are American citizens of slavery, we're deciding we don't want to give our vote away for free. They are astonished, they are appalled. Is how dare you not vote for us first, and then we talk about your needs later. And so we need, and that's our way beginning to change the narrative. Like, you're not going to take us for granted. You're no longer are we going to just, we're not just going to just sit around and let you do what you want or have your way with us any longer. We have voices, and we can exercise our voice and our right to vote in any way we choose to vote. And putting the right people in office begins to change the narrative, begins to change the CPS. We're fighting against CPS, right? But putting the right people, taking away those incentives that Bill Clinton signed into law, the $4,000 incentive that he signed into law when you remove a child from their home, or taking away those. I would like to police without guns. I don't know why they need guns. I've been to Spain. I've been to London. They don't have guns. I didn't see any guns with the police officers. So why is it that we need guns here in Minnesota? I had shields. I don't.
They don't know how to diffuse situations.
Right. And yeah, a gun does never diffuse a situation. It only adds to what this education is not a solution to African American problems, degrees, Stephanie says that education is not a solution.
Yeah, when I meant education, I meant like educating themselves and their morals and values, not actual like reading books. Like, you can't read a book to understand how to deal with different populations and different races. I didn't mean actual education. I meant educating yourself to make yourself a better person.
That's true. That's true. And then when it comes to educating us and them, like we have different DNA makeup
Mm-hmm.
and different traumatic experiences. So we're not a white person with brown on top of us. We are we have different ancestral makeup. Our ancestral makeup is in our DNA.
Mm-hmm.
So our trauma is infused in our DNA. There's still things that we are going through right now that we don't even realize that we go through. Mm-hmm. So how can you expect us to be conformed to your society when that's not where we come from? That's not who we are. And so they need to understand that we're not just them. I hear white people say all the time, I don't see color, and we all bleed the same red blood, but we all don't have the same traumatic experiences. Our trauma is generational. Mm-hmm. It's embedded in our. People are hard to believe that it's infused in our genetic code, but it is. It's infused in our genetic code, and there's nothing. The beginning of the start of healing for that would be reparations. So, because we make up 2% of the wealth. I always have to throw that in there, right? Yeah. No matter what topic we're talking about, we're going to throw in, pay us what you want, cut the check.
Yeah, we definitely need to do reparations. Wasn't it California that is thinking about doing that, or had they done that?
It's California. Well, Evanston is doing reparations of some sort. There's another town in the South. I think it's Kansas. I'm not sure. Arkansas. One of the towns in the South is doing it. I know Los Angeles, California as a whole is looking into reparations. They're working with Ice Cube and some other people. And I think Ice Cube is working with Tone out there from Tone Talks. Mm-hmm. As far as like streamlining his black contract. So as long as he's working with ADOS and we can help him streamline that contract and it's like he's talking different. I love the fact that he's talking different, right? Like he's like, we need to talk about the black agenda that's streamlined for American descendants of slavery. I like that about him. The incarceration. Let's see what Marissa said. No indoctrination that starts in our schools. Why do black and brown people feel like they have to act white? In my opinion, it's the indoctrination. White people stole Ado's identity and want him to act white. Exactly. That's it. That's just, I mean, like I don't even know what to add to that. You said it in a nutshell. Like that's exactly. They want us to act white, but we can't act. We can't be what we're not.
We just want to be who we are, but we can't, because if we talk in our slang, which they don't even know where it originated from, they just assume that we don't know how to speak. It's actually part of our culture, but they don't know that because they're just taught like, okay, that's their slang. Like they just don't know how to speak English.
Right. We don't speak proper English. And so language originated with the original man, with the black man and black woman. So we originated language. And so because we aren't speaking the language that they speak, we had our own language, own culture, own names, own everything when we got here, and they stripped us of all of that. So you are absolutely right, Marissa. We need to, and that's why the narrative needs to be changed, because we need to learn. They need to learn to accept us for who we are, and not us have to conform to the image of who they want us to be.
Yeah, go ahead.
And a big start to that would be what? Reparations.
So what they want us to act, but then they are allowed to appropriate our culture and then be seen as cool or trendsetters. And I'm just like, that doesn't make any sense. How we have to act how you want us to, but you get to act however you want.
Right, like having a round bottom was a disgrace to them for so many years, and then all of a sudden, Kim Kardashian came along, and it's it's okay. So she can wear the cornrows and have the bodacious, the round bottom, and appropriate all of our customs and all of our, you know, she just appropriates everything black. And so now it's cool. It's cool. You want to have the rounder bottom, you want to have the injections, you want to get you want to braid your hair, and but this is our culture and it comes from somewhere. This is who we are. And it's as if they're, to me, it's like they're making fun of who we are as people when they do that.
And like, this goes back to Black women, how that's just our natural bodies. Like, I'm gonna bring in Meg the Stallion because she's been the highlight of media coverage of how she's like nasty. She doesn't care about who she is. She doesn't act like a woman. It doesn't act like a lady. And then we, like you said, we look at Kim Kardashian, who has the same features and same body as Meg the Stallion, but she gets the upper hand and she gets degraded. Black women will never be able to be seen as, I guess, beautiful unless they dress like, I don't even know how they, jeans and I don't know, just dress proper.
Well, it's because we're so beautiful that they want to take away from our beauty, right? And make us seem as if make us feel like we're not. Oh, your hair is nappy. Well, that's a good thing. My hair is nappy because I won't get lice. And so, real talk. You're dark. That's a good thing because I won't get skin cancer, warts, or wrinkles easily because I have melanin and elasticity. So all of the things that they try to make negative towards us, we need to learn how to embrace, because there's a reason why God gave us these are gifts. It's a gift to be Black, right? It's a gift to have melanin. That's not, because we see everyone doesn't have that gift, right? So everyone does not protected from the UV rays of the sun. Everyone does not have the same. We need to learn how to take, when they call you darky, thank you. Exactly. Thank you. I'm good. And I'm going to take my dark self out here and lay in the sun for about 5 hours. And I'm going to come back and I will not be burnt. But, I might be darker, but I won't be. It's just like we have to learn how to embrace what God has given us. And for so long, we've allowed other people not to make us feel bad about the gift of being Black that God gave us. And that's new. Being a Black is a gift. Hashtag being Black is a gift. I'm just starting a new hashtag. That's my new hashtag.
Yeah, my dad has always told us, like, because I have 3 younger sisters, so there's 4 girls, and he would do our hair, and he's like, every day, your hair is beautiful. Your hair is beautiful. You're supposed to have this in your hair. Your hair's supposed to look like this. You're not allowed to straighten your hair, because if we straighten our hair, we are trying to conform to what white people want our hair to look like. So, like, ever since I was little, I've always just grown up like, you're a beautiful Black girl. You're not allowed to wear makeup. You don't want you to cover anything because you need to show everything that you have. So that's kind of how I grew up.
Now we have to address it. We're just going to ask you, you are biracial, correct? Yep. Now, did your mom have did your mom have a hand in raising you, or are both your parents still together?
Both of my parents are still together. They both have a hand in raising us. So they both live at home too. Yeah, I live with both my parents. So my mom, I guess she used to do my hair, and she would braid my hair. She would ask, like, my dad, like, what things should I start putting in my daughter's hair? So, like, my mom from the very start has knew what to do with our hair, how to do our hair. She never damaged our hair, nothing. So
getting back to police brutality, and we talked about a little everything up until now, and I really have enjoyed you. I really have. I enjoyed our conversation and how thorough you were with your presentation. Yeah, I have. It was really good, and if there are I don't see any more questions, so I guess we could probably end here. And if you have some closing remarks you want to make, you could go ahead, and I'm gonna come off, and you can go ahead and make those.
The last thing that I want to say before I get off is please, please vote. It's gonna make a difference. It's gonna it's gonna be the start of something new. And I think that everybody needs to know that their voice matters, especially Black people, because we have been told that our voice does not matter. But I promise it matters, and your vote matters. And get out there because I know a lot of you are gonna be voting for the first time. And I got to vote for the first time, and it felt great. I felt like I made some sort of difference. So please vote. And that's all I have to say. Thank you, Toya, so much for letting me come on here and share some things.